Here we go. We're going to demonstrate the Force 2 hand cycle by TopEnd. This is going to be more of the sport version, so somebody that is learning to race or becoming a racer. Very fast bike. So it's going to have your standard 10 speed with your options for just race performance or longer endurance rides. It does have a cambered wheel in back. This is a half back, so it is a little lower than the long straight back. So somebody with a little more ab control, and this seat will adjust forward and back through a simple screw that changes the angle of the seat. You have your adjustable foot booms. These trombones will harness the foot and make sure that the cyclist doesn't lose a leg underneath the bike by bouncing out. It extends and retracts. The boom also extends and retracts for performance fitting. And you have a standard shifter that controls the front derailleur as well as the braking for it with a standard rim pull brake. And then it has a parking brake built in and a front derailleur shifter, or rear derailleur shifter in this case, to allow the 3x10 speed to operate. So transferring is not the easiest here. So when I'm doing an assessment, I like to make sure they have a really good weight shift. For somebody that is going to make off on their own, our goal is freedom through mobility, so they are able to demonstrate things that they can do safely on their own, while looking at skincare and padding for seating, so that they don't have skin or bone on metal. So when the person is going, they have their brakes set, chair is at an angle, and then they get themselves to the front, lifting a leg up and over the seat, and finding a good, safe spot to do a pivot-based transfer, thinking they don't want to hit their chest or face on any sort of difficult objects, because this is a no-no factor for your teeth. And we want to think about what they're going to do. That parking brakes are on. Here we have a Sport Crafter roller, so it's semi-secure. But the participant's going to go knee bent and just behind or in front of the seat, behind the boom for the foot. And then they could go ahead, get in, transfer, much easier, high to low than low to high. And then they get the cable and the brake out of the way. They can place their foot into the footrests, and then they can strap it in. Obviously, self transfers and locking these things in are a little bit more difficult, and it will change based upon what spasticity or tone that the person has. You want not hyperextension of the knee. You want some bend in the knee, but not straight, so that you allow the bike to turn without pinning the leg in place or damaging the individual's knee. Again, we strap the feet in for riding because we want to make sure when a bump is hit that the leg does not fly off and then go under the bike. Then they take off the parking brake, and then we're looking at fitting, same as a foot pedal bike. You want a slight degree bend in the elbows, and you want to make sure that the actual crank set is not wider than the shoulders. This is more of we'll call it the Texas Longhorn crank set, where it goes and articulates out, so it allows power and climbing much better, but at faster cadence it does have a little bit more difficulty achieving. However, somebody that has a wider shoulder girdle, this angle does work. And if they are a narrower frame, narrower shoulder, going shoulder to shoulder, then you want the crank arms that come a little more narrow, and you can change with crank extenders and making it just so the articulation doesn't cause shoulder pain. And we don't want to achieve a rocking to find power. So the right gearing system, the right seating angle, and then understanding what is a good cadence. So the good cadence we try to achieve is 80 or so RPMs, and it allows the person to utilize less power and go into more of an endurance phase pedaling stroke to achieve just the happy factor in cycling. Whether they're training to become a Paralympian or they're training to just do longer rides with their families in the neighborhood, this bike will do it all. To get out of the bike, the individual will either get help unleashing their leg, getting the leg out, getting the other leg out, another big weight transfer so our position is really high in the bike, and then making sure again the wheelchair is at an angle with the parking brakes on. And then I get them to change, pull the foot out, allowing in this case, the wheelchair side leg to be a little more flexion so that it gets under them and allows extension. The other foot wide open if possible, and then getting to the point where it's just a tricep extension, pulling themselves back onto this chair, and then reassessing what their leg positions need to be to get out of the bike safely.